Hello, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations. Today, we're speaking about why service is the most important part of your business and how you can measure its effectiveness. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations. We are back. I'm back from a short break. Nick, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing very good. Monday, ready to rumble.
Ready to rumble. Monday, the sun is shining where I am. I don't know what's happening.
Shining where I am too, actually.
Yes, double sun. That's
double
good.
sun.
Double sun. Today, we are breaking down the topic of why service is the most important part of your business, of any business, and how you can measure its effectiveness. Sometimes it's difficult to measure this sort of thing because you think you're running good customer service. Maybe you don't measure that. Maybe you're not aware of how good your customer service is. Maybe it's just you and you are the customer service. I don't know. It depends where you are in your business. Let's open it up, Nick. What are you wanting to explain or at least share in regards to how service is the most important part of your business?
First of all, I'm going to make a bold statement, which
here we go.
May shock a few people, but I think service in Australia is shit.
Right.
There we go. I've said it. And, I know people are going to look at this and go, oh, what do you mean? It's not true. I'm telling you, it's shit. I've been to almost half to three quarters of the planet, traveled there and been there and spoke there and spent my money there and ate there and done all the way around and purchased from there and done that in the US, in Asia, extensively. And I just think we are so far behind the eight ball. It's absolutely ridiculous. It really is. I mean, this is a continent, and ultimately for tourists, especially, I'm not talking just locals, but I'm talking, tourism in Australia. The amount of people that, that I've spoken to that just complain about service, considering how expensive we are in relation to everywhere else around the world, i.e., whether it's manufacturing or whether it's, could be food. I just think that we really need to pick up the ball. So there, right. I've said it, and a lot of people say to me, oh, Nick, because in the US, they get paid for tips. That's bullshit. They're a serving culture. And in Asia, same thing. Well, they don't get tips in Asia, but they still serve, even though they make 1/10 of the money Australians make when you really think about it. And I had an experience yesterday, and that's why I think it's important for me to kind of discuss this today.
Okay good.
So let me kind of set up this experience. So yesterday I go to RM Williams, and I've got a voucher for $230 or something like that. That's left. Cool. And it finishes like in 2 days. Now we go and speak to them. We said, oh, could we extend the voucher? Like, because it's a voucher. Oh, no, you can't. Straight away. It's okay. All right. So I'll have a look around. So I walk into the shop, and it's at least 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And so I'm not talking that the shop's back. There's two guys at the counter. They're looking straight past me or whatever before they even go, hey, do you need some help? Finally, this idiot comes from behind the counter, right? Young dude, thinks that he's all hip and stuff. And, he goes, oh, what do you need? Now, there's not one price in the entire shop. So I'm looking at, RM Williams boots and stuff. And I'm an RM Williams fan. I've got belts, boots, I love their stuff, jeans, all of that stuff. It's good, high quality stuff, right? And I like, backing Australian made as well. It's important, right? So anyway, the guy's standoffish like you wouldn't believe, doesn't know half of the prices. And then about 2 minutes later, we're looking at a jacket, and he walks off and starts serving somebody else.
Right.
So anyway, looking, trying the jacket, same thing, waiting around, and the jacket's $350. So I'm at the voucher plus money on top. I'm not asking for a discount or any of that stuff. No prices on it at all. I speak to another guy, how much is a jacket? He goes, oh, so let me just have a look. Oh, it's $350. I'm like, how much are these boots? Oh, I don't know how much the boots are. We've changed our pricing around. Same thing, cold shoulder. Oh, are you taking it now? And I'm like, yeah. So my wife goes, oh, can you go get us, can you check if there's a new one at the back? Oh, why don't you want this one on the rack? I'm like, because we don't want that one on the rack. Go get a new one from the back, right? Now, this is my experience. And I'm not talking hillbilly out in the middle of nowhere, because country hospitality is about 500 times better than city hospitality. Right? This is in the city, in a key store in Westfield.
Right.
right? So you can imagine what the rent's worth in, Sydney Westfield, right? So this is my experience with an Australian-made, Australian-backed company with Australian employees inside it.
Yeah.
Now I get it. People then can go, so the owner's obviously not there, right? Then people can go, oh yeah, but that's, it's hard to get staff. It doesn't matter what the staff is, you can still train them.
I
It's
agree.
like manners should be standard practice, right? It's like with my kids. Everyone goes, geez, your kids are so polite. They're always very attentive. I'm like, exactly, because I programmed them that
They're
way.
trained that way.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to handle anything else other than thank yous and pleases and being courteous and, and respectful and, kind and caring. And if this is what you're getting paid for, now just imagine it's a Sunday. So more than likely it's time and a half. That's $50 an hour at least each person, maybe $55 an hour in retail. Let's talk about it. 8 hours, it's $400 to $500 each. That's $1,000 plus the rent, plus all whatever overheads, electricity, and all the stuff that comes with it, even before we get going, right? And I'm not talking a $2 shop. All right, I get it. They're flat out. They're in trinkets. I'm talking. I've just spent $350, and I've bought boots $700, belt $200. My missus has bought boots $600. So we've spent money with them, and it just showed me how that service is ultimately everything in your business. Because you could have the best product. R.M. Williams undoubtedly has got one of the top leather products probably in the country, if not probably around the world, right? Now, I've been to places like Chicago and stuff where I've bought boots that are 300 US or 400 US, handmade, as good as our stuff. Handmade, beautiful, tailored. The service was outstanding. I was made to feel comfortable. I've bought handbags for Rose, $2,000, $3,000. Same thing. Service was outstanding. And guess what? I've been to the $2 shop, that the little Asian lady runs, and she's still very courteous and kind. So to me, we've got a Vietnamese place down the road. I know you've been, Chris.
Yes, I
Same
have.
thing. They're just very humble people. They're very thankful for you to be in. So there's no excuse why service in your business can't be done perfectly in Australia. No excuse.
I completely agree. Why do you think, I don't know if you're going into this, but why do you think it is that way? Why do you think service is not great?
I just think, first of all, look, the person that I'm blaming here isn't necessarily the two people that actually served me. To be honest, I think it's the lack of training.
Yep.
That's probably number one. And if the lack of training equals a company that's, multi-million dollar company, the R.M. Williams has got a lot of outlets. And let's face it, I mean, like their boots are $600-700. Some are $800 for leather boots, right? Like we're talking up there. That's US or European based prices. Tailor-made by craftspeople, So I just think, the lack of education and attention to detail, I think, is there. And I've got sort of, 5 key areas I don't want to talk about, but I believe that it's the lack of training ultimately. And, we always speak about it. It's either a people or a process problem. I think, the wrong person for the job, they're the only people that came, right? And you could see these dudes didn't even want to be there. They just got a bullshit attitude about them. And, they're trying to be hipsters, and it's just, ridiculous, right? And then I think it's the process. It's the lack of training that's there. And Chris, you've been in hospitality for a long time previously. It doesn't take a lot of money. It doesn't take any money to put a smile on your face.
No, there's no. I feel that there's no excuse for not training people. I think it's the ignorance of the business owner to go, that's not important.
I can tell you the business owner wasn't there 1,000%, or the franchise owner or the store owner or the manager or whatever, because that would have been unacceptable. And it's only because I was with Rose and the kids that I didn't have a go at it, because I'm a consumer. I vote with my dollar. To be honest, after that, I got, let's walk out. She goes, no. Just wait for a sec. We got to use the voucher. I says, no, boy. I was ready to walk out. That's I didn't like. If I'm not going to be respected like that, why should I drop money to a company so they can get my profits? Like, you know what I mean? It's a bit like that too. So believe you me, as a consumer, you've also got rights. And I'm not saying that the customer is always right. Far from it. It's not the customer is always right. But in this case, just my experience with it was like that. So much so that I told the kids about saying, hey, outside, I said, family huddle. I said, see this? I said, you shouldn't put up with this. I said, because in your generation, there's more of this coming. In my generation, there was more people that are courteous. And I just think it's communication skills, all of that type of stuff as well.
I think so. Yeah.
These things have become the devil.
Yeah. That's another podcast.
Especially where it comes to communicating with people.
Absolutely. Agree. So what are some of the points where you can, I guess, improve this and measure its effectiveness on the way through?
Yeah. So number one, I sort of started these sequentially, which I think would be good. So if you're watching this, you got to pen and paper, go for it. If not, listen to it again. Yep. Number one is, what service do you offer? Whether you're in concreting or whether you're in, the retail front, or, whether you're an online business, or whatever, I don't know, you sell, paper planes, whatever, it doesn't matter. First of all, what service is it that you offer? Is it a service that's more aftercare? Is it a service that's touch point type service as a retail? Hey, let me show you around. It's very kind of personal. It's one-on-one. Is it a one-to-many? Is it a group service? Like a personal trainer would be in a group setting class. Is it care service? Making sure nobody gets an injury, or is it hands-on service? Like if you're in massage or you're in health, or is it service that you may own a private practice and, you've got a nurse that does bloods or whatever it may be, right? Yep. What type of service do you offer? So you've got to kind of understand where your service is. With us, our service is verbal, most of it, you know what I mean? So we look after our client, we inspire them, we help them deal with stress when things are tough, but we're not necessarily hugging them or hands-on or treating them, but we do this verbally, right? We speak to our clients about getting their head right, dealing with their emotion, all of these things. And that's our type of service. It's different to a retail store type service, you know what I mean?
Okay. So it's kind of like the customer journey. From what I'm
like the customer journey.
What does your customer journey look like? Because it's going to be different for every different industry.
Correct.
Right. Okay, good.
Part two, or step two, is, how do you interpret service? You as a business owner and you as a staff member, how do you interpret service? Because some people, they don't need a lot of service. Some people are just like, cool, mate, I exchange money for that burger, I'm cool. If the chips are a bit in it, or if the thing, it doesn't matter, it's fuel, I'm cool with it. Other people, hey, that burger needs to come wrapped really well. The bag needs to be strong enough that the bottom doesn't fall out of it. They want to make sure that the food's healthy, So how do you interpret service? Because these guys, apparently, they thought they were serving, but in actual fact, in retail, it's kind of an unwritten law that, if you're serving somebody, stay with them until either they're going to purchase or they're not, and then you can move on. Instead, it was just like cold shoulder, just leaves. And I don't know what that was about, but, especially where there's no prices in the store on something, so I can't sort of make a judgment. I need to understand roughly what it is. And the jacket that I bought isn't cheap. It's $350. So you know what I mean? And knowing that I've got a voucher should have even increased the service, because it means that I'm a loyal customer with that. I've already purchased on that voucher because it was for $500 or whatever it is. I'm already an RM Williams kind of, devotee, so it's even better. So, and what I'm saying is there's the interpretation of how you interpret service has a lot to do with what people value about your business.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like with us, we've got that key value, over deliver to the over exaggerated expectation of our client. That's a key value. You know what I mean? Like that's how we interpret service. Over deliver to the over exaggerated expectation of your client. That's a pretty high level of delivery when you really think about it.
I think there's something that we need to note here as well. If you're a business owner listening to this and you haven't thought about how you interpret service, it needs to be considered. How do you want to be treated if you are your customer? So I always speak to my clients about, put yourself in your customer's shoes. If they're experiencing like an issue, or if they're wanting to plan a great experience for that client, how would you like to be treated? Look at it from a mirror perspective. If you were on the other side, if you were about to buy your own products, what does that service look like to you? How is that interpreted by your customer? Would you want to be served by your company? Which is an interesting way to kind of turn that around. So I think that's good.
You know yourself too, Chris. I mean, in hospitality, especially, service is king or queen, right?
Yeah.
And most people I know usually, and this isn't, any disrespect to an employee, but I know usually, most employers are going to add that extra mile because they know if you treat someone well, they
Mm.
do come back and they do
Yeah.
refer people and they do. That's like me with this. I've already posted it on social media and did a video on it yesterday and mentioned the store itself. I don't know, because
Mm.
at the end of the day, it's funny. I had two people reach out and they go, "You know what? We've been to their other stores and it was even worse than that." And I'm like,
Right.
"What? Like, this is crazy." You know what I mean? And
Right.
so, and look, I think about it like this, right? I don't know if anybody, listening to this or watching this, has been to Cirque du Soleil, right? I've been to
Mm.
a lot of the Cirque du Soleils in the US, in Vegas, where the big Cirque du Soleils are.
Yeah.
And I've got to tell you, it's an experience from start to finish all the way through. But most importantly, you've got this level of service
Mm.
that just seems, so awesome that you're like, man, I'm immersed in this thing for 2 hours
Mm.
and it's another world. It really is, like
Mm.
it's the little things, how the display is and after you're finished, they make you go through kind of the gift shop. I get a
Yep.
sales process, but sales tactic. But, what's kind of cool is just how everything's beautifully set up.
Mm. Mm.
Everything's spotlessly clean. There's no dust. There's
Yeah.
not shit everywhere. It's not like a bazaar. It's beautiful. It's just got that flow to it.
Yeah, I
It's
get
the
it.
Cirque du Soleil flow. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah, cool.
that experience. So number two, how do you interpret it?
Great.
Number three, which is really important, is what type of service does your client need or want? I mean, this is important. If you don't know what your client needs or client wants, I mean, yesterday that was a basic need or a want that I had. Can somebody show me some stuff that I can see, tell me a bit about the prices, and at least accommodate me until I made a decision? I was going to spend the money anyway. We already, had the voucher, but not walking into retail and it's 10 minutes before he even acknowledges my presence. And they weren't that flat out. There was one or two other people in the store.
Mm.
There's two guys serving. Like, you handle that on your butt. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't, we've got 15 people in the store.
Mm.
And I get it. The big part about it is, with us, we do every 90 days, we do the, client check-in and stuff
Yep.
like that. And I just think, with that, it makes sense that you find out a little bit about your client and what type of service that they're after. And believe you me, usually it's the little things, isn't it? It's somebody holding the door open for you while you walk into 7-Eleven. It's the, hey, clean toilet when you're at the BP service station. We're not talking that you need to, line people in gold. You know what I mean? Like, it just needs to make sure that we're cool with that, in order for us just to understand what does that client need, what is the most important part of the client experience, and how do you serve that to them. And guess what? Best way to do it is bloody ask.
I was just going to say, there's probably two ways we can actually find this out quickly. One, you can qualify them on their first initial contact with you. So whether they meet you face-to-face initially, or you need to go and do a site visit, or you've got them on the phone, perhaps, ask them some qualifying questions. In the case of your experience yesterday, it would be good for one of these retail guys to actually ask you what you're looking for. Can I help you? Is there anything specifically that you would like to see? Have you shopped with us before? All qualifying questions that'll help either speed it up or build an experience for you. On the other way is like a survey, like we do with our check-in calls. Just ask people after they've purchased what could do better or what they want to see more of.
It's I had a client that worked in Westfield, and what they used to do is refurbishments of the $2 type shops, but the big one they call it chicken something. I can't remember what the name was, but it's the big two, and they're all over Australia. Anyway, the Westfield center manager, basically, when they first started, asked them, hey, just for the dust and stuff, could you make sure that, you keep it clean? And because what happens is the gap under the door, these guys are jackhammering tiles up and all of this stuff, man. So it's grinded, it's dusty.
Yeah.
And they understood it. So here's what they did. Two things. Number one, in the dock area when they were cutting materials and all of that type of stuff,
Yep.
they started at a particular hour so they don't inconvenience clients,
Yep.
people in Westfield. They got the apprentice every hour or whatever. He just went and swept up, make sure everything's clean. That was his job all day. Just make sure it's cool, clean, you're cool. So, and he didn't ask him to do that. They did that. Then part two is they just got one of those door snakes, it's like,
yeah.
I think they call it a door snake or something.
Sure.
And stuffed that under so there's no dust that came out. And every sort of, 4 or 5 hours, went outside, just quickly got a mop and just mopped it to, just if there was any other dust that came out from anywhere.
Sure.
Cut a long story short, that center manager was so impressed with this company that company then he referred him to like KFC, grilled hamburgers. I think it was like 2 other 9 West stores and whatever, and they became one of the main refurb companies for Westfield throughout New South Wales.
There you go.
He expected that level of service, and they delivered over the top of that. Just think about it. Don't get rid of dust. And if you do that and keep the noise down when it's there, that's all he wanted. And then on top of that, they swept, to make sure the dock area is clean and just kept it clean. That's it. They listened, they delivered, and mate, that was millions and millions of dollars for that company. I couldn't believe it. It was just like that change. You see, like if you listen to what your client has to say, and they're not even the clients. This guy was a Westfield center manager. Right. So, but he holds a lot of power, right?
Bloody oath he does. Okay, that's great. That's a great example of how something so simple can pay dividends, really.
Yeah. Number 4 then is, how is it packaged and how is it trained? How do you package it? Is it, there's some in-store service and then there's aftercare service, because aftercare is important. When you buy a car, maybe aftercare, you've just had a health procedure, the aftercare, how's it going? Like, how is that packaged for you? What are the stages of that packaging? I always like, with us, when somebody joins our company, we send a gift through, and we send a book through. We congratulate them, welcome on board. Then there's a whole onboarding process. We add them to it. They get a phone call. The coach reaches out. We make people feel welcome, and I think that that's important. On milestones, we'll send gifts. On birthdays, we send gifts. On re-signing of the contract again, when they continue this, we send a gift. So there's all of these things that we try to do in order to make sure that they're nurtured for and cared for. We've got the 2 masterminds that they come to. They're top events that we spend thousands of dollars on to be able to create this experience for them. Once again, there's no charge for that. We do it as our service. It's a part of our service, right? And we have raving reviews on those events.
Yeah, a lot of our clients, they look forward to these live events that we run. They're always booked up pretty quickly. But I think as well, the ongoing level of care and that nurture for people, it's like at the end of the day, people do business with people. You need to look after the people that you're serving. So I think it ties back to what you've just said. It's about that level of care and how you pay attention to them, whether it is aftercare or whether it's during the experience. It's really critically important.
Yeah. And then with that, as a part 2 with that, the training. What does that look like? How is that process done? Is it video trained? Is it in-person trained? Is it, customer care trained? Is it discussed a lot? Is it a part of, the company's ethos? Is it, all of these things are really important, because if you do the training, yourself, Chris, little things, when you had the restaurant, little thank you.
Thank you on the bill at the end.
On the bill at the end. Little things like that make all the difference. The extra water. Hey, here's a piece of, I don't know, cannoli that you guys can have. Here's a little, 2 mints with the coffee or whatever. Like, the little things make all the difference. That's all training. It really is. And you can see the difference when a 17-year-old starts at a coffee shop, or a 16-year-old that they haven't had that training, versus, someone that's in their 40s that's been in hospitality for 10 years. Usually you see they're matured in their approach. So
I still think it really falls back on the business owner as well, though. It's, if the business owner cares about his customers enough, he'll make sure that whether they're 17 or 40, they're trained.
They're trained, exactly. Age has nothing to do with it.
Really. And I think, it can be systemized. People are like, oh, it's hard to do that. And like, not really. There's, you could create a checklist around customer service. What does their pre-sale checklist look like? What does their aftercare sales checklist look like? It's very simple stuff. And all you need to do is sit down with a pen and maybe, jot down some ideas and then train people, show them how to do it. Like I said, create a checklist for them to execute. What's the last point you got there, Nick?
And then look, the last point is, how are you measuring your service success?
Right.
There's a couple of ways to measure it. I think one of the key ways to measure it is, customer feedback. Geez, thank you for that. It was very good. Thank you for looking after me. I felt very welcomed and warm. Thank you for your knowledge.
Yep.
We went to same thing. We went to a timber place to have a look at some flooring for the new extension. Now I've already spent $5,000 with these guys, and the timber yard part of it, man, I would have spent 50 grand with those guys. And the guy, say he's eating like, kind of fucking sushi, shit's going everywhere. He's just like not being cool. And then he fucking walks off. It's like, dude, like I'm already a customer. Don't be. And hey mate, how you going? Hey Nick, and he just like walks off. Then some other really arrogant. I'm like, dude, there's 2 chances I'm purchasing off you again. And I even went through floor that they did in our unit, had some issues with it, and he was resistant all the way, swearing to the manager of the thing. And I'm like, dude, you're the one that laid it. Like the problem is from you guys. No, it isn't. Just carried on. And I've even walked past that to try. And now I'm like, mate, the last nail in the coffin, dude, it's done. I didn't care if you give it to me for free. I'm not getting it off you. So a measuring process needs to be done. Are they re-signing? Is there referrals? Are they telling other people? Are they posting on social media to go, geez, that experience was so amazing?
Are they giving you a review? Yeah. Okay.
Cruise ships prior to COVID and stuff used to have about 98% 98% re-sign and rebook rates. 98%. Wow. No other business on the planet is that level of, unless you're a drug dealer. But
wow.
Then you get 100%. But yeah, so people love cruising so much that they rebook again and again and again. Some people I know like 20 cruises, 30 cruises, because their experience is usually so incredible that it's great. I mean, now they're tarnishing it with all this COVID shit, but it's typical that, and that industry's on its knees, right? So when you really think about it, that level of service that they can offer, do you see? But it's that part's interesting. You see, add one part of this that's different than people's experience. Oh God, we've got COVID and we have to quarantine inside the room. Just kills it. You're already on this ship for a week, so you just have me sort of quarantining on this vessel. But add that COVID part to it, where people freak out. I mean, it's just like a flu, right? And that's it. That industry is hammered. Add social media and add the media to it, and it's a disaster, right? And it's funny, I saw the interview today and the guy goes, hey, we chose to cruise, so even the customer was cool with it, but the media turns it into a second. So the idea coming back to it is, how do you measure it? And what are the key measures for success? They tell other people, they love referring people to your business, they leave you fantastic reviews, and they become advocates for your business.
Yeah.
And the reason why we've got almost 80 reviews is why? Because we offer service and people are happy with it. And it's not easy to do that. Almost everybody leaves us a 5-star review. If not, it's, a 4 out of 5, like it's pretty cool that way. And sometimes this is why I'm saying the consumer is not always correct. Well, it's difficult sometimes to understand how people are, because sometimes, guess what? Someone's having a bit of a bad day and all they're doing is projecting it kind of onto you. So, does it happen? It absolutely does happen. So you've got to consider trying to do your best to make sure that you're listening and that it's not an ongoing negative process for anybody that's a part of your business at the end of the day.
We got to make sure that we're measuring what we're doing on the front end. And if you're not measuring it, start. Like I said, you can do it through a survey. You can do it through a check-in call. You can reach out to them. There could be a nurture cycle that you create there to follow through on. You need to be able to measure how well your service is, because you've mentioned it a few times, Nick. You're building memorable experiences. If you create a memorable experience, that's fantastic. You're most likely going to tell someone else and they'll buy with you, which means repeat sales and so on and so on. So
your customer votes with their dollar, right?
That's right. This is not, cryptic. This is not difficult, hard math. It's very simple,
Well,
How do
it's
we look at
interesting, like the flooring guy, as an example, the new floor that we're going to do is 10 grand, 15 grand. I guarantee 100% he was not going to get my business, 100%. There's not even an if or but, So in saying that, he's just missed out on that. I love RM William product. 100%, I will not be buying any more RM William product.
There we go.
That's it. So there's 100 other boot makers that I can get stuff done. Even as a style, I really mean it's cool, but it's not hip or it isn't. So when you think about it, just that has now voted with my dollar to do it. Now, is the store owner going to call me? I very much doubt it.
No,
I've never had a call from RM Williams or the guy with the floor was so rude and arrogant, even to the the company that looks after my unit, the real estate agent. That he was like, dude, what's with this guy? It was crazy, and he's the guy that put the floor in.
Wow.
Mate, before that, mate, we'll look after you, whatever it is, and now I go to see him again, and he just walks off eating my face. It's like
the end.
The end.
The end. Let's wrap up. 5 quick points, and I know there was a few part 2s in there. Let's wrap up really quickly, and can we hear the 5 again?
Yeah. Number 1, what service do you offer? Number 2, how do you interpret service? How does you and your company interpret service? Number 3, what type of service does your client need or want? Very important. Number 4, how's it packaged, the stages, and how's it trained to your staff? Yep. And number 5, how do you measure your service success?
Perfect. There we go. If you've got any questions based on customer service, or if you don't have a customer journey mapped out, or you need help with it, reach out to us, please. askitupcoach.com.au. We'll help you out completely free. No questions asked. We want to make sure that you have got something in place to look after your customers. We really hope you enjoyed the episode today. And any final words, Nick?
No, I just think, make people happy and they'll make you happy.
There we go. Simple.
Pretty basic, right? Yeah.
It is. Thanks so much for listening, guys. We'll speak to you all again very soon on the next episode of Coaching Conversations. Bye now.
Bye now.